Marcin, can you introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, sure. About Magdi, I remember I talked with him on my previous talk here. And then
Yeah, we had it.
It's like static element of this group. Then good to have you here. Okay, my introduction for this that don't been there. I'm independent consultant, working for mostly 8 years for different enterprises, banks, insurance, telecom companies, in government projects. I'm doing also right now a little bit of mentoring in this area, how to create technology modernization roadmaps, how to change organization to be ready for such modernizations.
All right, that's great. So let's start with some stories from that experience of yours, because we've had conversations about this, and I know you have a lot of experience there. So can you share a story first of a successful transformation? Now you've worked for large banks in Asia. You worked for organizations in Poland. Share a story of of a success that we can sort of start with.
Okay, it's my favorite case because it's not successful only from perspective of project itself, but it's perspective from it's successful from perspective of long-term goal and changing how company behave. It's project where client comes to us and say, guys, we are pretty outdated. We haven't any changes, and people start leaving us because they don't want to work in these old technologies. And we feel that we need to change something.
Just can I interrupt you for a second? Because it was interesting what you said. They come to you because people leave because they don't want to work in the old technologies, not because there's something wrong with the old technologies or the system is breaking down. This is just because mainly because of the people.
Yeah, this is shortcoming, but when people start leaving, this is not only technology. Yeah, when you work in old technology, you start earning less. Then it gives people thinking, okay, others that do more modern technologies earn more, then why I should work here? And if companies stop giving you what you need, then they start leaving. They do some courses. They say, look what others do, and they see, oh, they have nice technology and they earn 2 times that me. Then why I should stay here?
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
All right. IT is very dynamic in this context.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about support, because when we talked about it, you did tell me a lot about this. So garnering support within the organization for the change. How would you go about this?
Okay, yeah. Very often, modernization idea come from some, I don't know, technical managers, architects, lead some small team. But this make these projects that they are not successful. They are not successful because it's too small engagement of company, and you can change technology in one team. Okay, if company agree, that's okay, but it will not be flyweight for whole town transformation. It will change small part, and that's all. Then you need to get very broad support to make real modernization. You need to get support from C-level. It's best if you have agreement of C-level that we need changes because we are going too slow or we are going too old. Then it's great because they can manage company to find space for you to such modernization.
Let me stop you there for a second, because we can come back to the others.
Yeah.
I remember I read your blog, and on your blog, you wrote something that I found quite interesting, which is that the finance department is your best friend, the CFO. So why is that?
Yeah, it's spectacular for me. In Poland and in some countries, if you talk with CTO, they know a little about technology. They are mostly managers. And if I was in London this summer on conference, I speak with CTO of one of the biggest bank in UK, and he know why they use Docker, why they use Kubernetes, and what plan of migration to cloud company have, and what it will give from financial perspective. Then we will save here, we will optimize costs here. And this is why I write it, because it's true. If you do this modernization correct way, then it will give a lot of savings, mostly in the long term for financial organization. And this is easiest place to show that we should start it, because it will give us something, yeah, like cost reduction, better management of cost and things like that. Then it's easiest to show proof that it will give you some benefits.
Yeah, sure, exactly. So that makes sense to me. You're saving money, the CFO can help you. It's good if the CTO can also understand this and get back behind it.
You know, they have simple goals.
Yeah.
Spend less, earn more. Then it's much easier to
makes sense. So what about the others, especially if maybe the C-level is not really on board? Maybe the initiative is from somebody else. So there could be also naysayers, people who think, oh no, we like the old technology. We've built the old technology. You're taking away our baby, from us. So how do you deal with this?
Okay, for C-level, I believe the best approach is to deal with company goals. Ask what are company goals. Find where technology is blocker, and this is best place, to start digging why they should approach new technology to get better benefits. It's good, and this is most important layer than C-level. Of course, more people you have on board together with you, then your voice have more. It's more important, yeah. Then if you approach other teams, other managers, and other architects, and show them that, yeah, this is valuable, then there is some level when C-level cannot ignore you.
Okay,
because it's a big part of company. Yeah?
Got it. Makes sense. So getting to a level where the CTO cannot ignore you. I like this approach. Let me pause for a second, because we have 2 new people joining, and I like to keep this interactive. Hello, Oleg. Hello, SJ. This is an interactive group, so you're encouraged to turn on your cam and participate, ask questions. If you could type in the chat where you're from, that would be great. And if you have the courage, introduce yourself, turn on your cam, introduce yourself. We like to, get to know you as well. All right, so coming back to the discussion. So we talked about engaging C-levels, then the people below them. How do you then make your proposals? Like when you're at a stage where you need to make a formal proposal, like a modernization proposal or something like that, how would you do it? What is it supposed to look like? And who do you pitch it to?
Okay, yeah. I found I do it for years, but I never recognized any pattern, and I found last years that it can be put into some pattern, like I choose a rapid framework. It's management framework, how to make decision and who to engage, and I use it for proposals, and not only for formal decision making, but also for process of creation. I started small. It's like I don't know, 6, 7 slides mostly. What you want to do, why you want to do this, how company will benefit from that, and some easy plan of implementation. Then this is basics. Then you need to find other recommenders if they exist. Then other people that will benefit from that, like other team leaders, other group leaders, etc. You need to get performers, then people that will execute this idea. because not always implementation is on your side. Very often is, but sometimes, you know, you are, I don't know, internal consultant or internal advisor, and you recognize, oh, this is bright idea. Then some other people will do your proposal in the reality. And in most cases of enterprise systems, there is always other people, because you propose software, but there is infrastructure, there is compliance, there is security team, and etc. And they will realize your projects that they are performers, and you need to get this deal with them.
All right,
because
so
they can block you.
Yeah. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So there are all these people, the infrastructure people, all the people who implement it, and you kind of mentioned that, as you know, as sort of consultant or an executive, you're not necessarily going to implement it yourself, probably.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about this. So the implementation, to what extent does it matter? And all the technical considerations around the change. Let me ask it differently. So how do you modernize a system from the technical perspective?
Okay, this is interesting because it's core of doing modernization in company. If you modernize only one project, that as I said, it will be not successful. It's not change anything. If you have 1,000 systems and you change one, this possibly will make more noise than give you benefits.
So you have to think systemic, basically, and about the whole.
Yeah, you need to think systemic. You need to think about building some standards. Right now, we talk about platform engineering, then building internal services that looks like external. Yeah, your infrastructure gives you cloud-like environment.
Oh, let's pause here, because I'm not sure I understood that.
Yeah,
building internal services that look like external. So what problems are you solving here exactly, and how?
Yeah, you have okay. Yeah, it give you same way for first of all to manage this like tickets, let's name it. If I want for my project infrastructure in AWS, I say, okay, give me account and I will use Terraform to create something there. I want same level of connectivity with my internal teams, yeah, to treat everything as a service.
Okay.
Then I want to have interface, best if it's programmable interface, that I say, I want new servers, I want VMs, want internal Kubernetes, I want internal, I don't know, security manager like HashiCorp Vault for my project, yeah, dedicated. If you have 1,000 projects, then for sure it will be not put into one. You have separated for different reasons. Then
okay, so just so that I can understand it, you're talking about the SaaS system, but you still want to have, the company wants to keep some components internally, like this.
Most of companies want. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. And so how would you go about this? So say you have a system like this, and you also talked interestingly about standards. So let's jump to that a little bit. So you're introducing a standard at the company. So that's a part of the modernization effort. How do you enforce this? How do you enforce a new standard? You may have different systems, 100 different systems. Maybe they use different sort of APIs or whatever. How do you?
Okay, I have good discussion about that just yesterday with head of engineering in one of enterprises. And we have talked about that, and this is only a way you can do that. You need top technology person included, like this head of engineering, like CTO. It depends who make technical decisions in company, and you need to force people like. There is quality gate about your code, about your solution. If you don't pass this quality gate, you cannot go to production. Then you need to fit into our standards. Most of companies right now, it's go to build some kind of architecture board it have different names. It can be enterprise architecture team, it can be architecture board, then virtual community of architects inside company. But you need like quality validators, quality managers that will validate if what team proposes acceptable from company perspective. And this is place when you can introduce standards. Of course, standards give you also other benefit. IT people are, like we are joking, lazy. Then if you give standards that are programmed, then you give templates for application, template for infrastructure. It speed up time of creating next project, time of migration, because you don't need to start from the ground.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
It works this way mostly, and this is only way you can do that. If you haven't that person that will care about this quality of architecture, etc., you cannot do that.
Yeah. Okay. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about this because this is interesting and sort of this is enforcement by force, which is what enforcement is. But we have a new joiner here, Pavel. Good to see you here. Welcome. This is an interactive group, so you're encouraged to turn on your camera, participate in the discussion. If you could type in the chat where you're from, that would be great. Oleg, yeah, I can see you're driving right now, so you're not taking active part. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. But it's good that you're here with us. Now, let's come back to this enforcement. So how would you plan the stages? So let's say there's this old system, right? And there's those 100 different APIs, and there's a standard, right? And everybody has to move to that standard, right? And at some point at the end, there's this enforcement gate. At some point, there's a deadline. Let's say after 6 months from now, we're going to enforce it. How do you plan that process between now and this introducing this gate so that people aren't taken by surprise when this gate actually is enforced and when the new as standard is enforced? Okay,
the best enforcement is if there is no force. If you enforce people that way that they are in, then best way is to find first pilot project where people are very interested to implement this standard. When they see benefits for them, then you do first pilot, everyone is happy. You see that it gives you a lot. Then you find next project. If you have few projects like that, then it's easier to have kind of agents that will propose your standard for other and say, yeah, it's best thing we do, and this is best way to enforce people. Yeah, if everyone's seen that this is good choice, then this enforcement will work without real force. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. So bringing them on board so that they see.
Of course, there is one catch. There is one catch. If you have 20 years of projects that don't want to change, then moving on for new standards will be pretty hard, and business will tell you why we will move that if it's not change it, but it requires more business validation. If it's not changed for 20 years, it's still needed in our company. Very often it's not.
Right. Interesting. Let me pause again. Michael, thanks for joining us, and thanks for turning your camera on. This is an interactive meetup. You're invited to contribute to the discussion. If you could type in the chat where you're from, or if you want to introduce yourself right now, then please do. It'd be great.
Oh, so my name is Michael Mendocha. Dzień dobry. And it's great to see all these Polish names up here. So I'm in Denver, Colorado, in the USA. I am an electrical engineer by education, and I've been in the staffing business for the last 35 years. We work with, I basically find jobs for rocket scientists, engineers, and IT professionals. So I'm always interested in modernization and how organizations can progress. What I've seen a lot of is that companies end up doing things a certain way. They set a process in place and then they just leave it because it's working and they don't want to touch it.
Yeah.
And then they wake up 5 to 10 years later, if they wake up, and they realize that, oh, we're way behind the curve. And now they're trying to play catch up. I have a customer that's in that mode right now. So I wanted to join just to find out more about what your thoughts are on this topic. And that's why I'm here.
Yeah. That's a great observation, Marcin. I mean, do you have comments on this? Because we talked about modernization, but we sort of talked about it as a process, from one place to another. But it needs to be continuous, needs to be repeated. So what do you advise organizations to do to make it sort of continuous? Yeah.
What Michael said, modernization is popular right now because strangers come in town in banks and say, guys, we will kill you in few years if you don't do anything. Like stranger, I mean, Revolut and other financial institutions, yeah. And in this moment, banks recognize our cozy place in this market is in danger. Then we need to do something. But yeah, what you ask, good modernizations come into trend of continuous learning, when I talk for example about technical approaches, I say my clients that you shouldn't think about how we will implement this particular thing, this particular technology. You should think how on your own to validate next technologies, because they will come and they come every year faster. It's like in JavaScript, every week you have new framework that is best. Then you need to in minimal be able to validate if we should switch.
Yeah, and I think this is a very good observation, because these new frameworks come out and maybe there is a good reason to switch, but you have to be on the lookout for them, right? You have to keep watching the market and evaluating them all the time. So you sort of have to be in this modernization mode all the time, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the role of R&D in correct understanding of R&D, because in most of companies R&D is dedicated for modernization, when R&D should be dedicated for recognizing what next in reality. Then
Okay, so let's talk about some difficulties with this. So compliance, for example, you mentioned compliance. So say there's a company that says to follow US regulations, and there is like the PCI regulations, common ones to the hold credit card information, or PII, personally identifiable information, right? So when you are evaluating all these technologies, and you need to, or in Europe GDPR, for example, right? So if you're evaluating these technologies, you have to be sure that they don't violate any of these regulatory principles. So do you have any advice on this? So because this will slow you down, compliance will slow you down, obviously. Where to find the balance between sort of the drive to using the latest, greatest technology and the requirement to be compliant?
Okay, it's complex subject. What you ask. First of all, compliance is first blocker of your modernization, because they need to change very much. Longer companies don't develop technologies they have, then hardest moment will be for them right now to switch to cloud, for example, because we always have data centers. Yeah, it's simple compliance. Then right now in the cloud, it's hard topic that we will spend half a year to recognize how it deal with us. Yeah, and then this is big problem, and this is problematic area. About about that and what I tell about R&D, then compliance should have his own R&D, should be engaged in R&D things. Yeah, if you have team that recognize what next, this team should recognize how it will impact different part of companies, not only technology department. Yeah, how it will impact our business, how it will impact our compliance, our financial team. Like there is right now big problem for financial departments because cloud move us from capex to opex. Yeah,
Explain.
financial.
What does that mean?
Capex is capital costs. Then I buy servers and it's mine from this moment, and opex is operational costs. Hard to recognize. Then most of financial departments want to minimize operational costs because capex are more predictable. And right now you land in cloud where your infrastructure stop being capital cost. It start being operational cost, and even as these environments are dynamic, it's hard to recognize how this cost will look in the future. Then it's problematic.
Yeah. That's in a sense that's supposed to be like the upside of the cloud, that you can scale up when there is higher demand for traffic, but that also means that your cost may scale up, right? You don't know what's going to be exactly. Yeah, I see.
And also, cloud providers, for example, have small asterisks for their offers. Like I have that situation in one bank. We go with cloud solution, we build it, it works pretty nice. But I said, guys, if we achieve some levels of data transfer, we'll need to pay additional. No, we will never achieve. And 1 or 2 months later, there is alarm in night that we exceed our cost 2 times in one night.
Right.
2 times, and what we find that our data transfer go to that level, and that there is this small asterisk that AWS, if you reach this level, get money from traffic between VMs in your environment. And this is some problematic areas where it's very hard to recognize it.
I got it. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about all the things that don't change. So say that you're modernizing, say that you're moving to the cloud, for example, as the example you just provided, right? But there's all the stuff that is legacy.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain all the old stuff while you're migrating to new technology? Especially keep in mind that you may have to do it continuously as you keep modernizing. So at which point do you drop feature development on the old technology? How do you reconcile this?
Okay. I use for that something that is discovered by VSOW, then company from Enterprise Gateway and the kind of ESB service bus. They propose cell-based architecture for such solutions. It's that every area of functionality it's put into cell, and every cell should be like independent company, your independent technology in your company. Then you get API, and every other cells should integrate with this like API. It doesn't matter if it's external, internal, and so on. And you should put all of this legacy software into such kind of cells, and you will need to get some connectors build connectors for that. Yeah, it can be simple API facade, but in some cases it needs to be much more complex solutions. I name it legacy connectors or legacy synchronizers, because sometimes it's not API, it's, I don't know, database that is your layer of connectivity. It's service bus, it's FTP even. I've seen a lot of companies that use FTP as protocol where they, I don't know, every hour put file into FTP. And there is some software that recognize it and evaluate these files. then you need to give layer that will synchronize these words. Then be sure that on both sides there is same state of mind. Of course, it can be limited because you don't need to pull all informations for these systems, only this that they're required. But I've seen such situations, and you need to deal with that. And in some cases, you will need to stay with this as long as this software will be with us, because, for example, we have planned to remove it or rewrite it. In some cases, when there is active development of this second side, you can propose that this is time deadline when you need to switch. We put API for you. This is documentation. You need to switch. We will block and stop supporting this way in this moment. Then you have, I don't know, half a year, 1 year to do that.
Okay, so this is new to me, and I like this idea. So we just to recap, so that we have the the idea sort of in full picture. So you're talking about dividing the company or technologies into cells, kind of different systems into cells. There's API between them, right? And you're talking about API connectors, legacy connectors, I think called them legacy connectors. So there's some service that translates the language, the protocol of the old system to some new language, new kind of API. For example, I know some sort of old client server system into a REST API or something like this. Okay, makes sense to me. I like that. You mentioned the name. I'm not sure if I caught that. Where you got it from? Something to do with enterprise. Can you just repeat that for us, if we want to look it up?
VSOW.
VSOW. Okay.
On chat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, VSOW, it's company that built enterprise service bus, API integrator, some kind of API catalog for your solutions, and they propose this idea of cell-based architecture.
Okay.
For enterprise solution, it's like high level model how to organize big systems.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, this is new. I'm definitely going to look it up. WSO2. Is that what you typed in? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Now I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe some stories where you used this, and what was the challenge? Maybe did you find that it worked for you? Maybe you had to apply it in some unusual way. Can you tell us a story with that relates to this?
Okay. Yeah, I have few projects where this is implemented in bigger scale than only we, and nothing more. About finding stories, very often, and this is one project I have in mind. Very often companies think about modernization like we should change everything. We have system that, I don't know, manage subscriptions or manage payments, and we think we should change everything, but it's very often not possible to do it in good manner. Then it should be more evolutionary. And we have one project like that. When we start design session, they say, okay, this is to change this, and this. Oh, and this is 3 systems that connect with us in usual way. Then we should change also them. It will never work, especially if you have external teams that should make synchronously with you changes. Then very often my proposal is to concentrate on some key functionality that you should change, to concentrate on things that will get biggest impact, and will set stage how we should do that. Yeah, and I have worked in that kind of project. For example, subscription service, when we recognize, okay, this is a situation where some CRMs write our database, and what we should do right now. First idea is, rewrite them, to support our API. It cannot happen. Then we start building, as I named it, legacy connectors that will do this synchronization with our old database that we don't want to use anymore, and synchronize this data. Of course, all of these projects are active in this case. Then we say, okay, you have 1 year to be ready for our API. Here is design of it and documentation how we can do that. And this is a very good way that make things happen. If you get to big project, then it will fail for sure.
Right.
Or it will fail from other perspective. It would fail because it will start being, it's like I have some time ago idea to learn Perl. And when I learned it from book, I say, oh, this is beautiful language. But when first real problem happened that book cannot help me, I found solution on Stack Overflow. It's that ugly that I say, okay, I understand why this code looks like that. And same is here. If you will get to big project, you will start doing messy things just to fit into what is needed.
Okay.
And then much better is to go small, to change small things, redesign them, still connect with everything that is around, including part of your system, because you don't get to rewrite everything from the start. Then you can rewrite small part and take also your system as your legacy, and continue, modernization then.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So, so the first idea is let's rewrite everything, and then you realize it's just impossible, right? So you pick something small, you build legacy connectors, and you can work with
that. It's a reason why modernization failed, because when we are that happy that we will start modernization, that we think we should modernize everything.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes, basically taking on too much on the project.
We have 30 years on old software, but in half a year we will be next Google. It will never happen.
Makes sense. Okay, so I want to open the stage to the audience. If you have any questions or observations, experiences with modernization, can you share them with us?
Well, I've got two things I'd like you to address. One is, you were talking about adopting new technologies, but let's say there's 8 or 10 products in the market. How do you decide which one is going to be here 2 years from now? If you're an organization and you have to make an investment in the not only the software, but getting it implemented into your systems, getting your people trained, and you don't want to be on the downside of this company goes away. And then the other is I've seen a number of cases where a software solution comes out, but it doesn't quite fit the way the business functions, so they change the functioning of the business to match the software. And it's, I've seen this happen in Fortune, 50 companies. And that does not make any sense to me. So I'd like your comments on both.
Okay, I will start from second because answer is much simpler. If technology change is required by your clients, then okay, this is what you need to do, what you have to do. Sometime technology change is needed to fulfill client requirements, because there is no way to extend current software anymore. Then this is also good, but very often, and this is problem of a lot of companies, they think that they don't need to change anything in business, and they have problem why they should change technology. This is case that is most problematic, because I think then they don't see that this technology is also part of their business, yeah, and they should update them, because when it will start be outdated, it's like outdated offering. it will cause problem in some moment. Then it's a delicate subject in this specific case, yeah, when you don't see need for changes, but definitely you have to for example, problem with COVID right now, it's that there is no COBOL experts, yeah, because they are that old that COVID is problem for them, and it's one of argument from me why you should think about modernization of continuous modernization of software to be together with market. Then this will be my answer. Of course, there is a lot of values you need to put into thinking if we should do that or not. It was never a simple case.
Let me stop you here, because I like this question, Michael, and I want everybody in the group to contribute. So let's say we have an exercise here, and we need to select a vendor for our modernization, right? So what criteria are we supposed to look at? Who is supposed to evaluate it? What criteria are they supposed to use? So one of these criteria that Michael suggested is that company going to be in business 2 years from now? So that's definitely a big one. What else should we look at? Suggestions. I mean, I can personally make a few: open source versus proprietary, right? Pros and cons. That most people are probably familiar with. Open source, you can modify any way you want, at least in theory. It's like sort of device that you can open, modify in any way. And proprietary, the maker has monopoly on changing it, but they may have some features that open source software doesn't have, right? So features basically, that's definitely a big one. So features. What else? How do we go about it, and who chooses it? What do you think, Marcin?
I will add one thing for open source.
Yeah,
because I have worked in big open source project working years ago in Intel, and it's not that simple that you can change it. Where there is one company after open source project, then you are related for them. You need to know what is their path for this software. Yeah, you can propose something and it can be cancelled. It can be not realized, or they will say you that it doesn't fit into idea of this project. And
right. So basically, if you contribute something, they don't accept into the main sort of.
And of course you can make your own fork, but it's building your own system from the ground.
Yes, I totally get it.
You need team to maintain it. Then open source have some catches that are hidden, but there is a lot of problems with that and understanding how open source environment works. That are not easy. Then I will check first of all if there is bunch of companies that maintain it. Then it's easy to be next. But if it's one company, two big companies, possibly they will realize only their needs.
And this is to some extent an answer to your question, Michael. So if it's an open source project and there are a number of companies that are supporting it, then even if one company goes out of business and you have to switch to another, it's not such a big switch. Each one has some proprietary add-ons to it, but it's probably not such a big switch as moving from one completely proprietary to another completely proprietary solution. There's probably some open core that is common. Although, just like Marcin said, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to modify anything you want, because if you do and you fork, then you kind of lose the advantage. I mean, Marcin, what would be the response? I mean, this particular example, if you suggested that they accept the change behind the feature flag, so they don't like the change, but they accept it into the main branch behind the feature flag, so that it's off by default, but but it's there. People can see it, modify it, maintain.
Okay, what you said I will say not happen too often, because you put something and even is disabled by feature flags, someone need to maintain this code.
Yeah.
And this someone possibly will be, they don't consider it will be you continuously. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then things like that, I believe, doesn't happen too often in
Yes.
big open source project, of course. In small projects are more flexible, but more risky, because it's smaller maintenance team. Then this is tricky. But what about such situation if it's accepted? I believe it's still that this part will have low maintainability.
Yeah.
Then it's a risk that your feature will be stopped maintaining, your feature will not support some other things, etc.
Yeah.
Then you need to have deal that they think that it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Any other questions?
But maybe getting back to Michael's first question, what aspects to consider changing vendor? Of course, if it's support open source, like I don't know, Red Hat do, or other companies, it's good because you can replace them, or in the worst case, you can support the software, or then you always have way to do something with situations where vendor stop doing what you need. Then this is good point to evaluate. From my perspective, a lot of companies look on support, just paid support. Even if it's open source or not open source, we want to have option to buy support, buy consulting for this product. This is very important, because you can go into problem that you cannot solve with documentation. You cannot solve yourself. This is important factor.
The idea is that even with an open source project, there's someone who's more familiar with the code, and you can buy support from them. So in a sense, this is yet another criteria: the quality of support they provide. And then that next brings me to that question, actually. How do you discover this? I mean, I can share some experience. For mine is that when we're choosing a vendor at the company where I work for, we do POCs, right? Proof of concept. So we work with the company a little bit on a small project. And one of the things we check for is how responsive they are, right? And it turns out that even during the POC, when you would think that the vendor would really be looking after you, when a lot of money is at stake, some of them actually still have bad support. And that's when we know, okay, if in the POC they have bad support, then after the purchase is probably going to get worse. So this was definitely
this is my first idea. Don't tell them that you are doing POC.
Oh, interesting.
Because in POC time they will do everything that you will be sure that you want to choose them.
Right.
I've seen such situation with one database vendor. They give us person to work with us. They give us, contact with the developers. They give us dedicated manager that will care about us and things like that. When we stop active implementation and we go production mode, every support case was supported by 2 weeks.
Right.
because money is on account, then contract is signed for 5 years or 3 years. It happened in enterprise projects, and they don't care that much. Then first thing is, don't tell them that this is validation project. This is first thing I will say you. Second thing is check how active in this support they are. I don't name company, but I have few projects with this company as vendor, and always support looks like we send them ticket, they say give us logs. We send them logs, they say, oh, there is not enough logs. We send them more information.
Yeah.
They say, give us more information. When we send everything we can, they say, update to new version and give us log again. Yeah. There is third week on working in this project, and they continuously want something for us, but give us nothing. They don't want, to meet and look on this. We say, oh, guys, then we will meet for 2 hours. You will look for everything you want, and you can help us. Yeah. No, send us logs. And then this is first thing that looks like, oh, this will be problematic cooperation. And in the end, it ends with something like, by our specialized consulting, we will handle this problem.
Yeah.
Then
exactly.
$400 per day. Yeah. And we will spend 2 weeks with you, and we'll help you. And then one engineer comes, and in these 2 weeks, he really fix your problem. Yeah, but you spent a lot of money and lost a lot of time with them.
Yeah,
which is also cost for you, because you have people engaged in this.
Yeah, exactly. We are nearing the end. I want to get to a conclusion, and I see Tiger has his hand up. So go on, Tiger. What do you have to share?
Well, I was actually, you guys can hear me, right? Okay, I was gonna just ask a question. Hopefully that could be answered in a short period of time. Questions for Marcin, of course, if you're gonna share with us a somewhat detailed incidents or description of a time when things went wrong during the modernization process, and it could be at the initial strategic planning stage, or it could be, say, later on in the execution stage. Something that went wrong, and why that went wrong, and what was the lesson learned.
Okay, let me do it like this. Since we are just 1 minute until the end, and I want Marcin to answer this question, and I know some people may need to drop. Here's what I want to do. I have some links that I want to post. If anyone of you wants to connect with Marcin, with me on LinkedIn, I'm going to post the links so they can copy them. And for those of you who can stay, we're going to answer the question. And everybody else who needs to leave, feel free to copy the links and connect with us. We're looking forward, to continue the conversation. Marcin, so what are your thoughts on this?
The main problem of modernization is lack of architecture on the beginning. I joked that Agile give us that people think architecture will grow itself. It will not happen. You need to architect your solutions. Here comes second problem. When you have architecture, everyone think it's written in stone. We need to continue with this architecture forever. Then it's problem, because people look and think, okay, this is not valid in this moment. We've seen more information from this project. It will not work, and they feel like we should do what we have designed it. Then it blocks project. And then I believe architecture should be evolutionary. You evaluate it continuously when you grow your project, and with it removes such blockers. Then this is two main blockers of modernization. Need to idea to design everything on the start, which is mostly not possible, or mostly it will be not ideal on the start. And then thinking about this architecture like written in stone, we need to have it this way. It can block every modernization. Yeah,
makes sense to me. Okay, good to know. Magdi, yeah, you have your hand up. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, in modernization, we have a lot of approaches to execute the modernization, but from redesigning the whole product and implementing the new one, and keeping the current one ongoing, adding more features to the old one and the new one at the same time. And there's another way to just modernize in the module level, you know, modernizing one component at a time. I want to know what, at what point you will decide to redesign from scratch. How, you know,
Okay.
what makes you frustrated and disappointed from the previous product?
All right. I believe that rewrite everything is very dangerous in most of projects. Everyone heard story about big rewrites like Netscape that kill company that do that in reality. Then rewriting software, it's dangerous. You can spend a lot of time, for example, solving wrong business problems. Yeah, you can spend 2 years and recognize after these 2 years it doesn't help our business. It's still something wrong, and you recognize that something wrong is in business. Then it's very dangerous to set big projects to rewrite everything from the ground. It can work in project is small. Yeah, if you have pretty simple application that do something, I don't know, it's chat for clients. Yeah, you can rewrite it. It's manageable in short time. Then you will not lose much thing. But if it's complex software, then there is a lot of risk that in the end you will be not happy with this rewriting. Then I believe that modernization is better way. You choose components and evaluate components, and not only from technical perspective, or also from business perspective. This component still should look like this. I have that case in one project where one guy say me, oh, and this number is some subscription type, and we need to look in other application to get what is this subscription, and based on this subscription we need to get into other application where we will find if this is about TV channels, this TV channel will be in this subscription. And I say, guys, why this application don't show it to you? why you need to do that lot of operations on your side? Yeah, and after some recognition, we think, oh, okay, if we will get this information automatically into the software, it can be managed by our support team, not by us. Then it changed business, how business operate. Yeah, even it's pretty small technical change. Then you need to consider if this form of this software or this model you want to write still fit into current business needs. Yeah.
All right, let's actually leave it as a conclusion, like this conclusion. So let's make sure that the modernization will not change the way the business operates just because it would fit the new technology. That's definitely something we don't want.